One night, he decided to follow me and caught me red-handed. He made sure I'll regret this forever. Hey, fellow Redditors, I am facing quite a dilemma here, and I really need your input and guidance. I never thought I would find myself in a situation like this, but life can be pretty unpredictable, right? So, here goes nothing. I am Stella, 26F, and have been in a steady relationship with my boyfriend Drew, 29M, for the last 2 years. I would believe that my relationship with Drew initially was all a bed of roses until the honeymoon period was over, and reality hit us. We had bills to pay, and love was not the only thing that could help us with everything. We decided to take our careers seriously to help us with our expenses. Drew had landed a new job which required him to be available even on his days off. This started causing a distance between me and him. I did understand that it was his job and there was nothing he could do about his long and erratic work hours, but it was not easy to live with the fact that he would have to leave in the middle of a date if he got a call. I would make plans with him for the weekend and we would be having a good time, and suddenly he would get a call and leave because it was a new job, and he wanted to make a good impression. Most of our plans of hanging out or spending quality time had been going down the drain ever since he got this job. There were times that I would feel that he should quit, but I am not going to lie. The money was great, so I never brought up the suggestion of him quitting. I had a decent job myself, which paid enough to pay for my own share of expenses. However, the money that came through his job would pay for all our extracurricular activities, such as going out to parties or movies or a mini weekend trip. We were planning to save enough money through Drew's job so that we could buy a new house and move into it. Our plan was that he would continue working at this company for the next 2 years, so that we save enough money for the down payment and furniture, and then think of finding a more stable job which had fixed work hours. We were determined to make sacrifices and prioritize our long-term goals. It was crucial for us to establish a strong financial foundation before we start a family. It had been 1 year since Drew had been slogging off at his job. The good part of it was that he recently got a raise of 30%, which was something we hadn't accounted for. This could only mean that we would be able to buy a house faster than we expected and move into it as soon as we had enough for the down payment. Me and Drew sat down one day and were discussing our future when Drew told me that he would want to continue with his job since he would not be getting anywhere close to this amount of money if he switched jobs. I had no idea what exactly he did in his job, but I knew that he was just making up an excuse to not leave his current job because he must have gotten comfortable in it. I did not try to argue with him about it, but I was not very happy with this decision, as we had already decided that he would be leaving his job after 2 years. I did not share my concerns with Drew and decided to keep it to myself for now. I would be able to reason with him once I had a logical explanation or a better job offer for him. I decided to hunt for a job for him on my own and then talk to him about it. I was very disturbed since the conversation I had with Drew about not quitting. I wanted him to know that I had been feeling very lonely, as he being unavailable was playing with my mental happiness. The only hope I had was that it would all be over after a year, and now he throws a bomb at me about not quitting. It was stressing me out, so I decided to go out to divert my mind. I went to catch up with my friends at a club and try not to think about Drew and his job and everything else that had been bothering me lately. I was here to have a good time, and I was determined to do that. I started drinking, dancing, and catching up with everyone. When I was on the dance floor, I saw someone stealing glances at me. He did not look so bad, so I winked at him just to look at his reaction. He was shocked by my boldness and started walking towards where I was dancing. I quickly made my way towards the restrooms so that I wouldn't attract attention from my friends. As expected, he followed me, and once we were away from everyone's eyes, I checked him out from top to bottom and gave him an approving look. I don't know what came over me, because when he leaned over and kissed me, I actually enjoyed it. After the kiss, I quickly scanned our surroundings to see if any of my friends had witnessed this. All of my friends were good friends with Drew, and I knew that they were going to rat on me to Drew about it. I quickly grabbed his hand, took up my lipstick, and wrote down my number on his arm and went back to the dance floor. I joined my friends and we had a good time, and then said our goodbyes and took a cab home. On the way home, I pulled out my phone to see a few messages from an unknown number. I opened them up and saw that they were from the guy that I had kissed earlier. He wanted to meet me tomorrow, if it was possible, at a place and time of my choice. I kept reading that message over and over and kept blushing like a schoolgirl who just received a text from her crush. It has been 6 months since I have been having an affair with Liam. He was sweet, cute, and always made time for me whenever I needed someone to talk to. Every day after work, I would meet up with Liam at a nearby cafe. We would have coffee and discuss our life plans. It all started very innocently, and I don't know how it escalated into a full-blown affair. Drew being away from home played a big deal in pushing me towards having an affair. I could see that my relationship with Drew was going nowhere as we hardly spoke to each other. On the other hand, Liam would listen to all my stupid problems and showed keen interest in everything that I would narrate to him. I could clearly see a stark difference between Drew and Liam and the way they treated me. It was the weekend, and as usual, Drew was not at home as he had some urgent work to finish. I took advantage of this opportunity and asked Liam to meet me at our usual spot. Liam told me that he had some family commitments, so he could only make it at night. I did not have any issues with that because I was very sure that Drew would not be back until tomorrow. I told Liam that we would be spending the night together. I got ready and went to the hotel and took the keys to our room. We always met at the same hotel and booked the same room to avoid any complications and running into people that might know us. I put on my sexy lingerie and waited for Liam to have a wonderful night together. After 10 minutes, there was a knock on the door and I knew that it would be Liam. I rushed to the door and opened it, hiding behind it so as not to reveal what I was wearing. He got inside and I closed the door behind him. I could tell that he was speechless when he noticed what I was wearing. I slowly lifted my head to look at his reaction, and I was shocked to see Drew in front of my eyes instead of Liam. I did not know how to react or what to say because there was no way out of this situation. I was caught red-handed, and I knew in that instant that I messed up big time. Drew had a mix of emotions in his eyes ranging from anger to sadness to disappointment. I could tell that he was hurt, as he was not expecting me to betray him this way. I stammered to try and get anything out of my mouth, but words wouldn't make their way out. He just left, and his eyes filled with tears kept dancing in front of my eyes. Every time I closed my eyes, I could see the look on his face, which was making it difficult for me to even think about what to do next. Liam came over after 30 minutes and was shocked to see me all teary-eyed and wrapped in the blanket. I hugged and cried inconsolably, telling him everything that had happened. He told me that it was all right and suggested that I should stay over in the hotel tonight. I could go back home tomorrow when Drew would be out for work and take my belongings and leave. I thought that was the best option we had so far and agreed to it. We slept at the hotel the entire night, forgetting about Drew and making love to each other. Liam told me that we were celebrating my freedom as I don't have to be scared of Drew finding out about the affair anymore. We got up the next morning and drove to the house. I did not see Drew's car, so I assumed that he might be at work, so I sneaked inside to pack my stuff. I unlocked the door and went straight to the bedroom and started to look for a bag where I could put in my stuff. As I was rummaging through my wardrobe, I saw Drew walk out of the toilet, so I froze. He came towards me, gave me a smile, and hugged me. To my surprise, Drew held my hand and walked me to the bed and asked me to sleep beside him. I did not know what to do, so I decided to play along. We both lied down, hugging each other, and he told me that he was sorry for making me feel lonely and not being available. He also said he would do anything that would make me happy, even if it meant leaving his job that paid for the maximum of our expenses. I was very surprised at his reaction because the Drew I know would have created havoc after he found out that his girlfriend was cheating on him. This was something unusual, but he looked so sincere when he was saying those words that I did not even once doubt him. In my head, I was making up my mind if I should stay with Drew or leave with Liam. Liam was unemployed and searching for a job, whereas Drew was well-established and he had a ton of money. Though Drew was always busy with work and gave me little time, Liam was always available as he had nothing to do and nowhere to go. To be very honest, love is just not enough in the real world, as you need money to pay your bills, pay for your expenses, and also any kind of activities and hobbies that you would want to spend on. It was very clear in my head who I would want to stick with. I slowly pulled out my phone from under the sheets and sent a quick text to Liam that, "I'm very sorry. I truly love Drew and I cannot leave him." I also thanked him for keeping me company all the while when Drew was away, and I was grateful for the good times that we had shared. I told him not to contact me anymore, as I would want to try and build my relationship with Drew. I know that all you guys might be thinking that I am such a gold digger, but to be very frank, if you were in my position, you would have done the same, and I would not judge you for it. I put my phone away and hugged Drew tightly as if I was letting go of Liam and the affair behind me. We had a long and emotional conversation about trust, boundaries, and communication. We both acknowledged that what happened was unhealthy and recognized that we have both made mistakes in this relationship. We both wanted to work on these issues because deep down, we truly cared about each other. In a few months' time, we pooled in enough money to pay for the down payment. We leased the place we were living at and were packing up stuff to move into our new house. I was so excited about it, and the affair with Liam looked like it happened in a different era altogether. Life could not have been any better. When it was time to leave, Drew, as usual, got a call and asked me to go ahead and promise to join me for the unpacking. I kissed him and drove off enthusiastically, unable to wait moving into our new house. I went to the location and saw that there was an old broken-down house and the neighborhood looked quite shady. I was confident that we were in the wrong place. This was not the house that we had shortlisted. I tried calling Drew, but it kept reaching his voicemail. I asked the truck driver to contact his company as there had been a mistake in the address. He told me that he had double-checked and we were in the right place. He told me that he needed to unload and leave as he had other places to be. When he started getting things out of the truck, I noticed that it had only all the old furniture that we decided to discard. I called the movers to complain about the mix-up and that they had picked up the wrong items to be moved. It was of no help, and I had no choice but to wait for Drew to come and sort this out. I decided to wait in that shady house for Drew and left him lots of voicemails to let him know that this was urgent. It had been more than 4 hours that I had been waiting without any message or a call from Drew, and I was getting impatient. I decided to make my way to our old house and rest till Drew was available. I could see a few cars in the driveway and some people moving stuff into the house. I quickly ran over to them and asked what was going on. They told me that they were moving into this house as of today. I was a little confused and told the lady that they might have been mistaken because we were still living here and that we would not be moving until the next 2 days. She looked at me suspiciously and told me that the house was completely empty, and today was the day when they were supposed to be moving in. She called Drew, who had transferred the lease to her, and to my surprise, he picked up her call. She told him that some weird lady has been talking nonsense. I snatched the phone from her and started talking to Drew without taking a breath, explaining to him what has been happening since morning. He told me to calm down and listen to him very carefully. He told me that he had given up the lease from today, and that he had moved into a new house all by himself, and left me with all the broken furniture to do whatever I pleased with it. I was about to say something when the line died. I stood there shocked at what just happened. I gave back the phone to her and was trying to process what Drew meant by all of that. I sat at a cafe trying to think what to do next. I did not have a house or a boyfriend, and I did not even have my belongings. Basically, I was screwed as I had no one to go to and nowhere to go. I tried calling Drew again and again, but I realized that he had blocked me and there was no way I could get in touch with him. I was going through my contacts to see if there was someone I could reach out to help me in this situation. I came across Liam's contact and was contemplating if I should send a message or give him a call. It had just been 2 months since I distanced myself from him, so I decided to try my luck and sent him a message asking him what he was up to. I was hoping and praying that he would reply to me and not be mad at me for what I had done to him. I was desperately waiting for a positive response from his end because that was the last resort I had. I did not have any savings because I spent most of my money on buying new stuff for the new house, and right now I didn't even have a house. I decided to stay at a motel for tonight and think of what to do tomorrow. Reddit, this is where I need your help. How can we move forward from this? Has anyone gone through something similar? If so, how did you rebuild trust and respect between you and your partner? How do I build trust and amend my relationship with Drew? I want to ensure that our relationship can heal and grow stronger, but I'm not sure where to start. Any advice or personal experiences would be greatly appreciated. I believe that open communication, patience, and consistent efforts to rebuild trust are key factors in repairing our relationship with Drew. Update. Thank you all for following up my story so far. As you all are well aware that I had been kicked out by my boyfriend of 2 years without even giving me a hint that he was going to do that. I have been staying at a motel for the past 2 days, and at this rate I will be running out of my money very soon. After 2 days of crying and sobbing, I finally have good news, which is that I received a text from Liam. He sounded very chirpy and happy to hear back from me after how I deserted him. He wanted to meet and catch up with me. We met at a cafe and I told him that I had broken up with Drew. Obviously, there was no way I was going to tell him that I had been kicked out. I lied to him that I couldn't stop thinking about him, and that was the reason why I broke up with Drew. Liam looked really happy with this information and immediately wanted to get back together. I was very satisfied by the amount of conviction I had in my story. I told him that I would like to move in with him if he had no issues. He was a little shocked by my upfront behavior, but I acted all lovey-dovey and told him that I would not want to spend even a single minute away from him. I know it was all cheesy, but I had to do what I could to get out of that motel and start living in an actual house. He told me that he had no problems with me moving in with him. He asked me to pack up my stuff, and he would come to pick me up once I was ready. First off, I had nowhere he could pick me up from, and second, I had no stuff. I told him that it was not an issue and that I could manage on my own, but he was very adamant that he would want to pick me up and not let me carry heavy stuff. Well, that was very sweet and thoughtful of him, so I agreed. I told him that it would take me a few hours to pack my stuff and asked him to pick me up from my house in the evening. I kissed him and bid him goodbye and told him that I would see him in the evening. I left the cafe and started thinking how I should get things and make it look like they belonged to me. I had no other choice but to go on a shopping spree to pick up enough clothes and makeup so that Liam does not get a hint of what actually happened. I spent a while shopping for clothes, shoes, and makeup, and removing all the tags to make it look like these are used items that belonged to me. After I was sure that everything was ready, I packed them up and took a taxi to the house that I used to live in. I waited at a park nearby for Liam to show up so that I could leave with him. After waiting for more than 30 minutes, I decided to call him. After several rings, he finally picked up and asked me what's up. I told him that I had been waiting for him to pick me up. He started laughing very loudly and told me that he was surprised that I actually believed him. He kept making fun of me, telling me that I could not have been serious about waiting for him. After all that I had done to him, there was no way he was going to pick me up or even think of being on good terms with me. He told me that the only reason he replied to me and met me was because Drew told him everything about what had happened. He wanted to get his share of the revenge, and that was the only reason he met me. He knew that I had nowhere to go, and he wanted to make sure that he left me hanging just like the way I did. I kept reading that message again and again, thinking to myself how I could have been such a fool to have trusted Liam so easily. It was my fault that I blindly chose to trust a guy who I had ditched so heartlessly. I had spent enough money on the motel and the items that I had just bought to move in with Liam that I had no more money left. I had no other choice but to beg my parents to take me in till I am able to afford a decent place for myself. So guys, after this roller coaster ride, the only lesson I learned is that karma is a bitch. It can come to bite you in the back when you least expect it. I know that I had broken the trust of two guys, and that is the reason that I am in this mess today. So I would like to suggest to anyone out there not to make the same mistakes I have done and build trust in relationships and give your best in it.